Hey everybody, it's Matt here. Are you stressed or worried? Today I want to tell you the one thing that's eliminated about 90% of my stress as a business person. So if you're watching this video right now, there's a good chance you're stressed or overwhelmed or worried, and that's especially true if you're an entrepreneur or a business person. I think it really just comes with the territory of having a business. There's always going to be problems that you're worried about, but you can actually be happy and relatively stress-free and love running your business and love your life as an entrepreneur, but you have to learn this technique that I'm going to tell you about here. Now, there's this saying in business, if you don't have problems, you don't have a business. And in my experience, that's been true. So what you're feeling right now is really nothing out of the ordinary. Now, the first thing I want you to know is that you really want to make sure you like this video. Now, I really want you to understand that what you're going through, if you're worried, especially in business, is totally normal. And anyone who has had a business can empathize. I can totally empathize with where you are right now if you're worried about something or overwhelmed in your business. In fact, when I started out in business, especially in the first year, there were times where I was pretty much to the point of tears because I was just feeling so much overwhelmed. There were so many things that I was worried about. And there were many times where I asked myself, can I really do this? Like, what am I doing with my life? I don't think that I can stand this amount of pressure. And it's a really normal thing to go through when you're in business, and especially when you're starting a business before you learn how to kind of deal with these emotions. I mean, really having a business, it's like a whole new ball game, and no one can really understand this unless they've had a business themselves of what you're going through. And so, you might be in debt, you might have some issues with, say, customers or employees or a landlord. You might just kind of be working these long hours and still losing money or not making any money. Or maybe if you have employees, you're watching them make more money than you and you're just working your ass off, working your butt off all day long. I mean, it's really tough. I mean, I remember just in the first month or two of my very first business, the ceiling actually started collapsing in one of the rooms of the business. And it's a customer service. I run customer service oriented businesses. So this is like a huge issue for me. And I remember just feeling like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Like, I came from this kind of comfortable lifestyle sort of situation where I was making pretty good money and I didn't have much to worry about in the evenings. Like I could just go have a drink with my friends and not worry about it and stuff like that. And everything had shifted when I opened my first business. Suddenly I had to really worry about my customers. I would have employees not show up. And that's a real problem because in a customer service type of business, you pretty much have to refund everything. I would have complaints from customers, which is really tough to handle when you're already stressed out trying to make the business run. So I totally get where people are coming from or where you're probably coming from if you're worried about something in your business. And that's why I'm really happy to be able to share this technique with you. So there's lots of methods for reducing stress, and they're all really helpful, things like meditation and stuff like that. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. The single thing that I really want to talk about today is a change in mindset. And the easiest way to remember this is just as a single sentence, and that single sentence is, accept that you are going to fail. Accept that you're going to fail. So that might sound pessimistic, but it's really not, and I'm going to tell you why. Once you change your relationship to failure, you start to see that failure is actually part of being in business. It's part of being an entrepreneur. In fact, entrepreneurs are constantly failing, and they're learning from those failures. So you want to change how you see failure. You want to see failure as part of the process and actually expect it to happen because it's going to happen. So with my schools, for example, I know that there are times, for example, when a teacher's not going to show up and I'm going to have a really unhappy client, a really unhappy student. I know that's going to happen. When I first started out, I was so scared that that was going to happen. I would just be awake at night like, oh my gosh, did I make sure that I did everything? Now, that doesn't mean that I don't try and do my best. I mean, I try to make sure things really operate smoothly, and I'm still a little bit paranoid about it, but I accept that things are not always going to go as I plan. And then when they don't go as I plan, I learn from that experience. And what happens over time when you accept this is you start to see that you can figure out almost anything. And that's why most people are especially stressed in the first stages of starting a business, because if you've never done this before, suddenly you just have all this responsibility, all this risk. But once you start to accept that these failures are going to happen, you can start to learn over time that there's really not anything that you can't solve, except for death or being terminally ill or something like that, being in jail, something really extreme. There's pretty much no situation that you can't figure out. Even if your business were to shut down, even if the entire business were to shut down, you could still learn from that experience and then start a new business. In fact, I think this is one of the most important things about really being an entrepreneur, is that it's not even about the single business, it's about the process. If you look at almost every entrepreneur in the world, they will have had failed businesses, sometimes tons and tons of failed businesses, but they just saw that as an iteration, as a learning experience. In fact, the faster you can sort of iterate those failures and learn from them and course correct and adjust direction, the quicker you can figure out what your exact niche is where you're going to succeed. And by the way, if you'd like to see a video on how to find exactly where your niche is, where you can succeed in business, make sure you comment below. So you say, all right, Matt, I accept that I'm going to fail, but how does that help me? I still feel stressed and worried. Like, just saying that doesn't help. And that's true. You're still going to feel stressed and worried. You're not going to be able to eliminate those emotions. And actually, you probably don't want to eliminate them, because having those emotions is one of the things that's going to keep you sharp in business. But I do want to give you 4 methods that I've used that I find helpful to kind of build this mindset into your psychology. And I'm going to save what I think is the most powerful method for last. So here are 4 things you can do to kind of build this acceptance of failure and this new relationship with failure into your psychology, into your thinking. So the first way is, when you're stressed, actually use that energy. See it as a positive thing. So actually, a week ago, my AC, my air conditioning went out in one of my businesses. And listen, in Texas, when it's like over 100 degrees all summer long, that's a huge problem, because if the air conditioner goes out, I basically have to shut down my business. So what I did in that case, I got a text from a manager at like 7:30 in the evening, and I used that stress, that energy, to immediately start figuring out, okay, how do I solve this situation? And if I hadn't done that, if I hadn't used that, if I had just kind of freaked out and done nothing, it would have been solved much more slowly, and I may have had to shut down the business for a few days. Number 2 is start thinking in the future. When you're in a situation that really worries you or that's really stressing you out, ask yourself, how much will this matter a year from now? And you're going to find that even if it's really bad, there's very little that you're still going to be worried about a year from now. I mean, honestly, for me, I'm at to the point now where even if my business failed, a year from now, I would be completely recovered from that. I might even be in a better position. I don't know. So you have to start thinking forward. It's not going to make you not feel the worry. Like, you're still going to be worried. You're still going to feel like crap, but you are at least going to have some context. You're going to be able to step back a little bit from that position. Number 3 is practice acceptance of your emotions. If you can start to observe your emotions, observe that they're actually just sensations in your body, and that a lot of what you're worried about is in your head, it helps a lot. So for example, if there's an emergency or some sort of problem, you're going to feel all sorts of sort of painful feelings, physical feelings in your body. And if you can learn to just observe those, it's sort of like having a stomach ache. It's like, okay, I feel this, but I'm not going to let it take over my life. Now, that's not going to make the stomach ache go away, but you're going to realize, okay, I'm not going to die. Like, this is going to pass. Just like if I have a headache or a stomach ache, what I'm feeling right now is going to pass, and it might suck right now, but I'm not going to feel that way all the time. This is where techniques like meditation are really helpful as a business person, because you can learn when you meditate to just observe what's going on in your body. And I find that mindset to be very helpful when I'm stressed. And the fourth, and I think the most powerful method, is keep a failure journal. Whether you do this in your mind or physically in a written format, a failure journal, a record of past failures, is incredibly helpful. And the reason is, over time, you're going to start to see that you recovered from all these failures, that you were able to figure them out. So I found the longer I'm in business, the more I'm able to look back at my past failures and see, oh, that wasn't as big of a deal as it felt like at the time. Like the ceiling collapsing 3 years ago, I don't even think about that now. It hasn't affected my business, it hasn't affected my life. But at the time, it was incredibly stressful. And the more of these things you can build up and start to see, hey, I lived through that, I was able to figure it out. Even if it was catastrophic, I was able to move on. It's really, really helpful. So I highly suggest keeping a journal or some sort of record of past failures or stressors. If it's mental, that's great. If you can write it down, that's even better, because you can go back and look at it. So those are 4 techniques for accepting failure as something that's going to happen in your business. And I promise you, once you build this into your mindset, once you have this psychology of failure is okay, it's going to happen, and it's just a normal part of having your business, that's when you're really going to succeed over time as an entrepreneur. Because being an entrepreneur, being a business person, it's a process. It's not arriving at one goal and then suddenly you're there. It's this process of continually learning about yourself, learning about how business works, learning what your niche is, and things like that. So hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Please make sure that you leave a comment below, even if you just write, hey, I watched the whole video, that's awesome. And please make sure that you like and subscribe to this video. If you subscribe to the channel and you like the video, it helps me help as many people as possible. I'm here to just share what I've learned through the years of being a business person, in the hopes that it can help you and can help anyone who wants to start a business or grow a project. And you help me a lot. It's a really big thank you just by liking this video, because it really affects the YouTube algorithm. It makes sure that other people who might be interested in this subject see the video. And if you like this, please subscribe. Please make sure that you click on the bell so that you get updates. And I put videos out every day. All right, everybody, make sure you embrace failure, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.